And yes, welcome. The not dead guy is here. And I've probably been underplaying it for the last week since I got my screening test results back. But I was freaking out, in all honesty. In the last 24 hours, just in the lead up to going in for the procedure, which I thought was under general anesthetic. Then I remember, some people never come out from general anesthetic. What if I die on the table? So I kind of publicly didn't want to freak out too much, but I was actually freaking out. But hello, everyone. Abigail, Fox of Fate, Nobody, Shieldsy, Justin, hello. Hello. Yes, I have had my first ever spear roast, just as we were joking with AZ. Up until recently, I thought it was just going to be a gastroscopy. No, colonoscopy. Colonoscopy, that's right. Up the butt. And but they did both. They did one down the throat as well. I don't know, they met in the middle. Look, I've still got the thing where they stuck the... I'll rip it off. Come on. A hole in my hand. Little blood drip on there. Where they put the anesthetic in and a drip in when I got out to hydrate me a bit. Hey, and also Aussie Gun Bunny and Facts Over Fields. Justin, no, I think you are not the first person to notice that Michael McCormack, our glorious acting Prime Minister and absolute fuckhead, looks a bit like Mike Pence and has very similar views, as in really stupid, puritanical, outdated views that they use their religion as a crutch for. Basically, gross homophobic pieces of shit, the pair of them. Now, but you have a mate who's died from post-operative shock a few times. That's AIDS-y. That's AIDS-y level problems there. But yes, now AIDS can welcome me to the club. It's remarkable when I put it on social media how many people I know who had the gastroscopies. Like quite a lot of people have had the procedure. It was pretty funny when they. It's like, you know, last night the reason I didn't do the live stream is because I'd taken this industrial strength laxative to just clean me out, so they got a good view. And by jings, it was just water going through me at one point. Oh god, it was gross. And got the Johnny Cash action towards the end with the burn and ring of fire, and not good. And a lot of people said, the prep is worse than the procedure. And it is. It absolutely is. I mean, you know, on the scale of things, it actually wasn't that bad. But it wasn't great. It was not great. Did not like. Would not recommend. 0 stars. Aussie Gun Bunny, you've had 2 colonoscopies. There you go. Lucky you. I was only in the hospital for a couple of hours. Like, I went... Yes, Abigail, I did ask, you know, do they touch in the middle? But they said, no, we do it separately. They can only concentrate on one thing at a time. And they did find some, what's the term? I've said it 50 times today. Polyps. They did find some small polyps that the surgeon said he's sure aren't cancerous, but sent them off for tests anyway. But he said that's the sort of thing that could lead to cancer down the line. So, yay, found it early and removed it. So, less worry down the track, which is nice. The only bit of the process, I expected to wake up with a sore throat because they'd shove something down my throat, and a sore butt because they shoved something up my butt. And the only thing that hurt was getting freaking cannula in here. And good on the anaesthetist, got it first time after you're doing flexing and slapping around and deciding which vein he wanted. Got it in one go. Little bit ouch. It's still a bit sore because big fucking bit of metal's been jammed into my body. That might bruise later, I guess. And then when I'm in the theatre, saying like, okay, now we're going to put the relaxing one in, so you'll feel just a bit dreamy in about 30 seconds. And he'd said it's not a full general they're putting me under. Call it twilight an anesthetic or something like that. And said, but you won't know anything. He said sometimes you remember stuff, but it won't be painful. You won't feel anything. You might remember voices or whatever. And then he says, this one's going to make you a bit sort of floaty. And I was waiting till it really kicked in. And I was going to say something funny, and I was going, it's trying to work. And then I woke up and I was in recovery. And it was only 9 a.m. Like, this whole thing took half a fucking hour. I came into the hospital at 7, went through entry, and then they did all the stuff and got ready, lay around waiting, took me into theatre, did the shit, and I woke up and it was only 9 a.m. And, they checked on me for a bit. I went home before 10:30. It was fucking wild. I thought, it was a day thing, but I thought I'd be there all day, like not get home till the afternoon. And I thought I'd be lying around bored a lot. So I had my phone with me. Didn't need it, as it turns out. I was worried I'd be sick, like not able to eat or drink anything. But that's another difference with the anesthetic they gave me, because it wasn't a general. I was not sick afterwards, because often with a general you can't eat or even drink water for like 12 hours or you'll just throw up. And I woke up and they're like, here, have some sandwiches and biscuits, cheese and crackers, apple juice. And I'm like, yeah. And nom, 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 nom. And not sick at all. I had a little half-hour nap this afternoon to get a bit of energy back. But fucking A. Shannon, you had that anesthetic when you had your eye surgery done. Yeah. It was so funny because I thought, if this first one's just going to make me drifty, I'll try and say something funny about, man, I'm so fucking high. And I was just thinking, is it coming on? I think it's coming on. I'm not sure. Is it coming on? I'm awake. And she was just like that. Very fast recovery from that anesthetic, which is nice. Aussie Gun Bunny, they did not make me stay until I farted, and I don't even know if I farted much since I got home. So certainly haven't done a number 2. Won't it be a wild and magical time when I do a solid poo? Not that it was that long ago that I did, but after the nightmare of this fucking diarrhea, fucking solid poo will feel like a fucking miracle. So Shannon, the anesthetic stops you from forming long-term memories from short-term, so you don't remember anything that happened. Yeah. Nobody. It would be addicting, I think, but I think it would be super fucking effective. And I think actually you'd have to be super rich, because an anaesthetist would have to stay by your side all night, so that the dose was maintained at the proper levels. And I'm not even sure how long they can do this one before it becomes general, because I don't know a goddamn thing about it. I was going to do the hydrolyte cleanse. They friggin' what was it? It's called. It was worse than hydrolyte. It was like some really serious laxative, and 3 doses of it. And man, like I was joking on social media. When was the first one going to kick in? About 90 minutes after you take it. I had to take it in 3-hour intervals, like at 1 and 4 and 7, and it took about 90 minutes for the first one to kick in, and then god damn. Jesus, it fucking went there. I tell you what. Very, very bad. Charles on Facebook, thank you for the well wishes. I certainly feel better for being alive. Yeah. It's the whole thing is I wasn't sick. So when this screening test said we found microscopic traces of blood, I didn't think it at the time. I just freaked out at the time. But a day or so later, I go, ooh. I'm almost sure I was a bit constipated like a couple of days before the test. I shouldn't have done the test at the time, essentially. And so I think that did the false positive for the blood. And the surgeon thinks that's true too after having a look. But, yeah, in retrospect, got checked, got some little polyps removed before they turned into anything nasty. So it's fucking good. And oh my god, I was so fucking stressed. I really was. Trying not to show it. But yeah, particularly by yesterday afternoon, as I started thinking, because I thought I was getting a general anesthetic, and then on top of everything else, is going, God, some people don't come out of general anesthetic. What if I fucking die on the table? What if that's it? What if that's it? And it was really shitty way to be thinking. Shieldy, you reckon I'd be lighter? I don't think I actually am. Just lost about a day's worth of calorie intake, essentially. How's it going? Does the thing taste like trash? The brand they gave me, which I now forget the name of, they claim had a pleasant lemon flavor. And it kind of tasted like those saline solutions that used to be popular that was supposed to help pick you up if you'd been sick. It wasn't terrible. Hey, you want to know what my insights look like? They gave me postcards. I don't even know what they're of. The labeling of them means nothing to me, so I don't know if it's some from down my throat, some from up my butt, or all from one. But for some reason, they gave me a bunch of photos of the exploration. So I've got that to treasure and hand down to my grandchildren. Shannon, yeah, you had a similar feeling about the test. Yeah, for your cystoscopy, yes. It's not when something full on's happening. Even if they say, "Oh, we think we can handle this," and you go, "Yeah, but what if you don't? What if you don't? This is the unknown is fucking scary." Charles, I was already threatening, Aidsy, if he outlived me, I was going to fucking haunt him, because that just didn't seem right. So, yes, nobody, you got to be careful if I say I want to share some special photos with you. I mean, they just look weird. In essence, they just look weird. Like, what the fuck is that? Big pink tunnel. Okay, cool. Weird. So, yeah. In the end, after close to a week of freaking out and certainly one day of freaking out a lot. It's all gone. It's all gone. The stress is gone. And I don't know if we'll see AZ tonight. He messaged me last night about joining, but I said, not doing it tonight. I took the laxative and it's doing the devil's work on my bowels. I don't think maybe if... did I get... No, it wasn't a text. It must have been an email. It was like Thursday last week. I got a notification, from the GP about the test. What was it? I don't know, but Jesus, basically a week of freaking out. Patman Sport, hello and good evening to you. And I am, of course, as you can tell how I'm dressed, I'm going to make a cocktail video tonight. I feel kind of bad. Be one less. I normally upload on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and because I've been out of it for a couple of days, there isn't one to. And because normally I shoot them on Friday night, and just for no particular reason, I not only didn't shoot any cocktail videos last Friday night, even though it was a long stream, I didn't actually drink any alcohol on Friday night, which is very unusual for it's like it never happened on a long Friday night stream that I didn't have some drinkies, but I didn't last week. But then I thought, I can still do it if nothing goes wrong. Something went wrong. And so I did have one up on Monday, but didn't have one. I mean, technically, no, I couldn't have. I was going to say, I could have tried to shoot a video. I don't know if I could have edited it today. So, Charles, yes, I am definitely going to make a drink. And hello, Annette. How are you this evening? I'm going to do a spicy cocktail because pals in the YouTube cocktail world are doing another challenge. We did a Christmas martini challenge last year in the lead up to Christmas, and now they're thinking we should spice up the new year, and they've said we should all this month do a spicy cocktail, spice on the rocks. And Rob from Rob's Home Bar has done a bunch of video assets for it as well. So yes, like a team up that's been promoted by 3 different channels: Rob's Home Bar and Vino on 60-second cocktails and David from Booze on the Rocks. So I'm going to do it, and it's a spicy cocktail. It named after a friend that I made about a year ago. Oh no, Annette, you've already finished all your Okar Tropic. It must be good. And hello, Ellie, and hello, Kirsten. And yes, I think it is time for... Oh, Abigail, your sleep pattern has changed. Out of nocturnal phase into morning phase. Oh, damn. Yeah. I see. Okay, I think we will do Angry Bunch for anyone who's interested as well. I'll just post the links. I might get I might leave early. I might be too tired because everything might catch up on me, and I might get suddenly tired, so I might dip out at some point earlier than I otherwise would have. Oh no, Abigail, you were supposed to be on a date, but both of you not feeling well. Well, at least it's a mutual thing. Be tough to be the one disappointing. And speaking of sexy times, it's Fox.
I wasn't expecting that comment.
No, we're always going to come up with something. So I don't know why I have to, but I feel compelled to.
Well, you're talking about things being disappointing. I was half expecting it. Speaking of disappointing,
Honestly, that occurred to me first, but I thought that would be mean. But speaking of disappointing, here's Shieldsies. Sorry,
There
you
we
fed me
go.
that line.
it had to be done sometime tonight. I mean, come on.
And Grasshopper. All right.
Yeah.
How are we all?
Alive and kicking.
Yeah, basically.
Yep. No. In regards to the whole, like, you can finally breathe now type feeling.
Yeah.
After the procedure's finished, and you kind of get the all clear from the doctors, and you've been like freaking out like leading up to it, and you just afterwards you just kind of like
Yeah.
totally was there with you
Yeah.
when I had my cystoscopy. So I am beyond thrilled that it's all come
Yeah.
back in the clear for you, mate.
Oh,
Like,
yeah. Yes. Yeah. So on the one level, it actually was probably unnecessary, like I said, because the false positive on the test, I shouldn't have done the test. But it's turned out to be a good thing that I did it. And the only bad thing was the fucking preparation, the turbo laxative. Oh my God.
Yeah, no,
Oh
Billy Connolly referred to it as being an upside down volcano.
Oof. And I swear it was just water. Like, it was just, it was, even when I have been, when you're sick and you've got diarrhea, whether it's food poisoning or some sort of flu or something, it's like, you feel like, oh God, I'm so fucking sick, I'm going to die. Oh yeah. I wasn't actually feeling sick as such. It was just like, oh no, this is happening. Run, So,
yeah. Be within 3 meters of a bathroom at all times, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. At a certain point, I'd been in like the lounge room, and I occasionally have to get up and sprint and go, you know what? Rest of the evening, evening, I'm just lying on the bed, like, a few short steps away from the ensuite, because I want to be prepared.
So, Mrs. Angry, you might want to sleep in the spare room tonight.
Yeah, we don't know what's going to happen tonight, but
No. I mean, when you were taking the super laxatives, it would have been just a case of
no,
you don't want to be within like a
No.
within nosefall of the ensuite.
But that's the other thing. It let me sleep all night. Like, I didn't have to get up during the night, which was amazing, I thought. Like, I went to sleep, didn't have to get up. Got up. It was about 5:30, and I thought, okay, I'm not meant to have anything for a couple of hours before the thing. Better have a glass of water now. And then I was like, it didn't wake me up during the night. I didn't have to go. And I'm like, oops, I do now. It's like the body's going, yeah, you know what? We were looking after you, mate. You can get some sleep, but you're awake now. So guess what's happening now? So that was the start of the friggin' day. And,
let's resume this evacuation, shall we?
Yeah, bloody hell. So, but yeah, so all in all, well, Kirsten's found a primo spot for cocktail photos for Insta. Nice. I have to admit, I'm super slack with that. I should do that, and I hardly ever do.
No, with the cystoscopy, they don't give you any form of anesthetic or mind-altering substance at all. You are completely awake.
Okay.
100% sentient and sober. And you get to watch the TV as they're doing it.
Okay.
So I didn't get any lovely little postcards post-procedure.
No.
But I'm one of the few people that can turn around and go, yeah, I've seen the inside of my own bladder. How about you?
Yeah. So, yeah. It's like, when they do brain surgery on people, sometimes, depending on what it is, they keep them awake because they want to know if they've messed anything up. And I've seen guys like, it's local anesthetic up here, so they can like cut the top of their head off. And then they're digging around. And I've seen one where the guy's playing guitar. And it's like, if he suddenly forgets how to play the guitar, it's like, oops, shouldn't have touched that bit.
They did that to Charles Trippy when they were doing his operation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They had to make sure that they didn't press the wrong button. You had to keep doing tests during the operation.
There was a great video that I was shown in biology class once at university, where they were showing different parts of the brain controlling different areas of the body and all of these sorts of different things. And to demonstrate this fact, they had a video of a guy that literally had basically the entire top part of his like front of his skull like basically taken back, and you could see his brain like right here. And the surgeons are there with the tiny little things, and every now and again you'd see the surgeon kind of move his right hand just a little bit, and all of a sudden the guy's leg would go boom, and the left arm would go boom, and all of this sort of stuff. And it's like, we are doing this deliberately to show you that we know which parts control motor function.
My god!
But we still don't know which parts control things like memory and stuff like we understand the information superhighway between the hippocampuses, but there is still a lot to be said in that we don't understand exactly where the memories are stored, apart from these little bits and pieces and all of that sort of stuff. So but it was really funny just watching it, and it was through that type of rooting around that they actually found a spot in some people's brains, not everyone's, in some people's brains. When that particular spot was excited electronically, the person would have an instantaneous orgasm.
Cool. I want one of them buttons. Yeah,
basically. After this, of course, there is it's an old wives' tale, but it may be true, but nobody can really confirm it. In that, after they figured that out, they apparently did the same thing to mice and left the button inside of the mouse's cage, that it could press this button and get a shock whenever it wanted to, just to get an orgasm. And apparently, these mice kept on pressing it to the point that they died.
I've heard that story. Yeah, I also don't know if it's true, but I have heard it. Yes.
Yeah. No, there's a little bit of evidence out there that says that it might be true, but there was no. If somebody did it, they didn't do it for any kind of scientific research. They did it just to go, which is somewhat frowned upon against lab animals. So
yeah, a little bit. Oh, and hi, Cyril. Yes, I am in fact alive. There was a small chance I wouldn't be. I kept trying to console myself. Like, once this idea of going under general anesthetic and maybe not coming out got into my head, which was fucked, I was going to look, again, statistically, I could also get hit by a bus as I walk across the street. And
statistically, you were at a higher likelihood of dying from a bus hitting you than dying in general.
Yeah.
Bus,
so,
do you mean tram?
Yeah. No, there are buses in my neighborhood. In fact, just going to this hospital, past a lot of buses. But
that was one of the things that I truly loved about being down in Melbourne for a couple of clubs. There was one of the guys' place that I was staying at. I forget the name of the suburb, but it was like 10 minutes out of the guts of the CBD of Melbourne. And at like 2 a.m., it was a case of jump onto a tram, and we were within 5 minutes of walking distance of his house. It was lovely.
Nice.
Trams are annoying in Melbourne. We had to go out one way out of Melbourne, and we were stuck behind a tram all the way.
Abigail, we need you to go on chat.
Yes, it was Abigail. I have a button when pressed. I have an orgasm. Hey. We're talking sexy things there. Hey. But
Abigail, I have told you before, my wife is not a button.
Yes, that's true. Not quite brain stuff, but there's an Australian, I guess you call him performance artist. I don't know if he's still around. He might have died. He was around in like the 80s, 90s at the stage name Stellark. And he would do one of the ones he did was having electrodes implanted in his muscles. And there were all these buttons that the audience could do. And when they pressed the button to put an electric charge in it, and he couldn't control it. Like the audience could do whatever they wanted to him. And
I remember that, yeah.
He was a bit of a wild man, he wasn't young, but that's why I'm not sure if he's still around. When I heard that one, that he had electrodes inserted into his muscles so the audience could make him be the marionette, because Charles on Facebook was saying that he doesn't like the idea of being a marionette. So, yep, some people do it. That's weird. I don't think I said hello, Megaleech, by the way. So, hello, Megaleech.
Safa, to answer your question, no. The closest COVID cases to my place have been out at a suburb called Mount Druitt, which is about 40-ish minute drive from my place at about 80 kilometers an hour, to give you an idea of the distance. So
Shilty's been careful.
Sorry, I
yeah.
forgot. I got to wear masks. I'm in Greater Brisbane.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So it's far enough away that we're not in any immediate danger, but Mount Druitt is a very, very, very densely populated area, so it's a little bit of pause for concern.
Yeah, and also you just don't want to go to Mount Druitt for a whole bunch of reasons.
Well, yeah, you know what a couple in Mount Druitt uses for sexual protection, don't you?
Their personality? A bus shelter. Good, okay. Oh, okay. Robot Man Greg knows Stellark, says he's still kicking. So there you go. Okay, cool. Safa, some people really don't like driving in Melbourne. Mrs. Angry's still not keen on hook turns or some of the dodgy tram intersections. She'll just avoid them. There was one super bad intersection in Melbourne near one of the hospitals, and because it had like 5 roads coming on and off, and you never quite knew what people were doing, but they changed it and put traffic lights on all the things now, so it's more controlled. It used to be like roundabout rules, and there were multiple roundabouts, and so you were never quite sure what someone was going to do.
The suburb that I grew up in was a suburb called Macquarie Fields, which it's Mount Druitt on steroids, to give you an idea of the area. But there was a main intersection.
On steroids, literally.
Yes.
There was a main intersection not too far from the house that I grew up in, and right on the corner of that main intersection was like a small electrical sub box type thing, where people would like hook their power into, as opposed to overhead lines. And it was about once a fortnight.
Sorry, just have to say night, Abigail. She's fading out and going sleepy. So good night, Abigail.
Sweet dreams.
Yeah, no, so this main electrical sub box, like once every fortnight or so, somebody would have an accident at this bloody main intersection and take out that sub box.
Oh God!
Every freaking fortnight. It was almost like clockwork, and they finally put a set of lights in there and got rid of the sub box altogether.
Yeah.
And you'd think that would fix the problem. It really didn't. Because people just ignored the red light altogether and just bang.
Straight through.
Every bloody fortnight. Yeah.
That's all right.
Crazy.
Come and live on the island. About 12 years ago, we only had one power into the Bay Islands, and the kids used to peg rocks at the insulators and knock the power out.
Oh, great.
Every school holiday, we're guaranteed.
I don't know how to help with that.
Shut up, Google.
That was pretty fun.
I don't know why he keeps setting himself off every time you're on.
But
just in the context,
perfect time.
Context of the kids pegging rocks at the insulators. Serious going, sorry, don't know how to help with that. That was really good.
Suffer, I would actually live in Melbourne. You could convince me to live in Melbourne.
Okay.
Driving behind trams and all of that sort of stuff doesn't really bother me too much. But if I lived in Melbourne, close to the CBD, I don't think I'd even bother owning a car. With the kind of public transport and the sheer amount of it that runs 24/7 around Melbourne, you wouldn't need a fucking car if you live close to there, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, like I'd really just have one for getting down to the shops and stuff.
What the hell?
Yeah, like, for your basic shopping and all of that sort of stuff, I can understand it. But for, like, if you're the kind of person that orders in all the time or whatever, I wouldn't bother. Where I live in New South Wales, if you don't have a car, you're fucked. It's a 3.5-hour walk to anything that even vaguely resembles public transport. So, you need to have a car where I live. But, if when I was down in Melbourne, like, it was like, okay, so Sydney's public transport isn't that bad, unless you need to get night ride buses home. Night ride buses are always full of drunken Daros fucking...
that's the Gold Coast!
If you can avoid them, Sydney's public transport isn't too bad, except for the fucking cost. It's ridiculously expensive. After they privatized it, took it from, I think it's now called Syd Rail or some shit like that. And yeah, once it left governmental control and went to private industry, because libs fire selling everything that isn't bolted the fuck down. The prices have just gone through the fucking roof. And if you want to go to the airport in Sydney, this is not a joke. It is cheaper to get a train ticket to Central and then get a Uber or a Lyft from Central to the airport than it is to buy a ticket to get off at the fucking airport, because the airport can dictate its own fucking prices. And it is
How much do they
literally,
charge you?
if you want to get off at domestic terminal from any train station in all of Sydney, it is $38.
Yeah,
God damn.
20 in Brisbane.
And if you want to take from domestic to anywhere else, it's $38.
Yeah.
Same thing for international airport. It is, I think it's $13 to get to Central Train Station, and then $7 to get from there to the airport using Uber or Lyft.
That's all right. We only got one more decade, and Queensland Rail takes it back.
Okay.
They had a 30-year lease on it when they built R1. So,
Yeah.
Suffer. No, I have not used the new Sydney Metro yet. I don't live anywhere near the CBD. I rarely, if ever, go into the CBD by design. I hate the central business district of Sydney with an avid passion. I hate it. It is I live on an acreage out at a place where the area that I live in looks like I just discovered the crystal radio. I live out there by design and very much on purpose.
Which side of Sydney do you live?
Very much to the west.
West.
If you look up a suburb in Sydney called Narellan, Narellan, I am not far from there.
Okay.
Mm.
Yeah, I got jumped on a train in Western Sydney once when I lived there. Ended up it's a stupid and drawn out story. And they were just kids, teenagers, but there was a lot. And the way things worked out, I didn't actually lose anything in the end. It was very complicated, hardly worth going into. But that was the Western Suburbs rail line living up to its fucking reputation.
Almost every time that I've been in any kind of street fight where I've not had the ability to talk my way out of it has been on Sydney public transportation. I can't stand it. Specifically for that reason, not to mention the other absolutely over in America they've got this whole thing about the people that you see in Walmart and all of the photos of the various people in various states of undress and horrible dress in Walmart. They could have a similar type of thing for the people of the western lines of public transport in Sydney. It is very unpredictable and uncomfortable if you're traveling outside of, say, going to or from work in those hours, say middle of the day or something like that, or on the weekends. It's it can be a bit of an adventure at times. Don't get me wrong, most people travel it 98% of the time and never have an issue, of course. But me, sometimes I believe that I'm a complete shit magnet and seem to just attract the worst that humanity has to offer on those fucking lines at times. The one that I will never forget, I was traveling I used to live at a place called Westmead. I was going from Westmead into the city on a Saturday afternoon. It was 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It wasn't, super early or late or anything like that. Middle of the day, literally. And to give you an idea of how long ago this was, I had a CD player, CD Walkman, listening to music. To give you an idea.
Okay.
And I was in the process of changing the CD in my little CD Walkman thing. And I just hear this woman absolutely shriek at the top of her lungs, "You dirty fucking prick! How can you masturbate on a train?" And turn around, and there's a guy sitting there making dead eye contact with her.
Yeah. Yep, that happens.
Some people.
Yeah. And like everybody that was on the train with me would have that story to tell, but everybody that I've ever talked to about public transport, they're like, I've never seen anything like that. I'm like, I'm a shit magnet. I'm telling you. Shit magnet.
Or they did, and they're blocking it out.
Yeah. There's nobody. His experience of the Sydney CBD was a bed of hostility. I wouldn't argue with you on that either. Actually,
for my wife and I lived in a place not far from the CBD called Ultimo, and we lived there for all of about 6 weeks before we went, nah, done.
Yeah.
She was working at North Sydney at the time, and getting to and from work was an absolute breeze for her from the place, but the rest of everything was absolutely horrid.
Yeah.
Absolutely horrid. I cannot imagine people. I find it difficult to get myself into the mindset of people who love living that way. Like I like how? No, doesn't.
Yeah, be a bit wild. Sorry, I just want to check, Charles. Where do you live again? Because you're clearly not Australia from what you've been saying. Is that Toronto, TTC, Toronto Transport? See, I'm guessing with things, but yeah, because you're saying you have a similar thing. Some parts of public transport cool, some parts scary as hell.
Charles,
the ASMR. Have I been banned from Twitch for saying sim? No, but like I said, I don't really care if it happens. I just thought it was really funny that I actually put it in the chat the night we were saying, I won't say it, I'll just write it, and I forgot the chat was going. Because I'm an idiot.
Charles on Facebook is saying, to living in Toronto there. And he also says that you don't have to like for the lockdown measures, but I wish we locked down the way that Australia did. For the most part, Charles, most people accepted the lockdowns in Sydney and stuff like that. Most people kind of went, well, this really sucks, but it is what it is, and followed all of the appropriate practices. Now that they've made masks mandatory, a lot more people, thank Christ, are finally starting to wear masks.
Oh, it looked like Melbourne yesterday when I went out. Everyone with masks on.
No state has really gone into lockdown the way that Melbourne had to for a while there. June, July.
Hi, Nettie.
Hi, guys.
June, July last year.
I won't be here for long. I just wanted to say, when it comes to Sydney trains, never sit in the vestibule area, right? Never sit in the vestibule area. That's where all the nutters sit. Like proper nutters who are screaming about being mates with serial killers, and this is what the Archangel Gabriel said about it. You know, that sort of thing. Never sit there. I just needed to say it. Okay, carry on, fellas.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for that.
Nobody had to lock down the way that Melbourne did, like June, July, and I'm sure that Angry could tell you all about that. But, they had to turn Melbourne into a basic ghost town for about 2 months. Was it, Angry? Yeah,
because it was spiraling out of control. Like it was the classic growth pattern. You go from a couple cases to a dozen cases to a couple dozen cases in a day to 50 in a day and then we got at its peak almost 800 cases in a day, and it was clearly next week it was going to be thousands of cases a day, and there were about 800 people died in that outbreak, and overall in Australia only 900 people have died. 800, and they were mainly people from aged care that was supposed to be run by the federal government, was being run like shit. But yeah, so of the 900 people who've died in Australia, 800 died in Melbourne in that surge. So that was as intense as it got in Australia. And we took the big steps to, like I said, avoid getting the thousands of cases a day. And it worked. And everything's been, I don't know, looks a bit scary from time to time in New South Wales. It's been getting managed.
What's happening more in New South Wales at the moment? Unfortunately, we're starting to get a rise of the dickheads that are like, masks don't do anything, and social distancing isn't going to help, and like we're getting a raise of those fucking idiots right now. So that's getting a little bit on the annoying side. There's been a few instances of male and
I
female
had someone
Karen.
yesterday say to me, "Oh, it's just like the common flu," and I had to correct them. I said, "Nope."
Yeah. No, it's
It's
more infectious and about 10 times more likely to be fatal based on the statistics.
If it gets in, as the saying goes, if it gets into your lungs, you're gone. You never recover.
You're not gone. No, you're not gone, but the recovery is freaking long. But also, in comparison to the flu and the cold, if you get a flu or the cold, you're sick for about a week and a half, and then you come good. COVID, if you get sick with this, the long-lasting effects from that for people of our age group and younger, that can be really long-lasting and fucking debilitating. The idea that this is the same as the flu or the cold, like you've got to have fucking rocks in your head. No, we've already had a couple of instances of fucking male and female Karens having a go at the Woolworths employees who were like, "No, you can't come in here without a mask. I've got a medical condition," or whatever that other bullshit is. And yeah, no, we're getting a raise of those sorts of fucking morons right now, and that's what's driving me nuts. Hey, nobody, how you doing, buddy?
Hi.
Nobody has arrived.
Nobody, if you're talking, buddy, we can't hear you.
Yeah.
Hi, nobody.
So it's not just how many people die, because we're definitely seeing. I still hold to my prediction. America's up to around 4,000 people a day dying.
Oh, God.
They'll easily get to 10,000 a day before it gets better.
Yeah.
But it's not just it's like up to 20% or possibly even more of the population having long-term debilitating health conditions, and the all this, I don't give a shit about people, but just the actual cost to the economy and societally of
massive
an additional 20% of the population having a medium, long, or permanent disability is, that's fucking massive.
Yeah, no, it really is. And I mean, the damage that it can cause to your cardiovascular system can last you literally the rest of your fucking life.
Yep.
I mean, it's not... Go ahead.
I already have chronic fatigue from my run-in with glandular fever. Glandular fever was back in high school.
Yeah, I had glandular fever when I was a kid, and I was pretty fucking sick. I do remember it.
Yeah. Did how was the fever? My fever exceeded 40 degrees.
I couldn't tell you, mate. I was like 9 years old.
I got it.
I remember being on my lounge at home with one of my school teachers arriving randomly just to make sure that I wasn't playing hooky. Saw how legitimately sick I was. I was off school for the better part of 3 weeks, though. Like, I was pretty damn sick.
I never came good.
Yeah, no, that's a lot of illnesses can result in. I had glandular fever when I was at college. It was really weird because it was in summer and I had a fever and I'm just sweating. But I thought it's a hot. My brain had just gone. It's a hot summer night. But my girlfriend's lying next to me, and I just went, "You're not sweating." And she goes, "No, it's not that hot." And I go, "But I'm sweating." And she goes, "Oh, I think you might be sick," because I was just like bathed in sweat.
My fever was so bad, I started to feel cold.
Yeah, you get the shivers.
Yeah,
yes.
And it started playing tricks. When your head's getting too hot, you start getting the hallucinations. The hallucinations alone were traumatic enough. It was really fucked up, and I've never been well since, not properly.
Yeah.
No, well, as a kid, I decided to have a lot of fun with two various illnesses, glandular fever being one, and the other one I got meningitis.
Oh shit!
No.
Shit, that is.
Yeah, and got taken to RPA Kids. I was at my grandmother's place when I came down with it, and she lived out at Mascot, so I got taken to RPA Kids. I have some vague memories of being in the hospital and all of the family making a big deal about it, and I just remember that, like, when I started feeling a bit better, it was okay because they give me sweet cereal that my dad would never buy, things like Fruit Loops and Cocoa Pops and stuff like that. I could never get that at home, so I was thrilled with that.
Nice.
And they would give me all of the coloring in books and all of the pencils that I wanted, and as a kid I was thrilled with that. But other than that, like, I've got vague memories of being really sick, but But yeah, thankfully, no real clear memories of. Apparently, I was hallucinating and doing all of the things, and I've got no real clear memories of those, thankfully. But
I
yeah,
remember I remember the sensation that I had the biggest bedroom in the house, and the walls were closing in on me. The ceiling was closing in on me. The bed I was lying on was closing on me. And here's the crazy thing is, I knew it wasn't real, but it was still freaking me the fuck out. You just couldn't rationalize it away.
Yeah, sometimes I have, I guess what you would call semi-nightmares like that, where I'm aware that I'm having a nightmare and it's not real, that I am like actually asleep at this point, but I'm still freaking the fuck out until I wake up. Like, it's not. I've only ever had that a few times, but yeah, if it's anything like that, not fun.
No, it's definitely not fun. Fun is not the word for it.
No, absolutely not.
So yeah, and this thing that's this pandemic basically is every bit as dangerous as all of those things, and probably quite a bit more contagious. People who aren't taking it seriously, I've got one thing to say.
Yeah, no. I was having a discussion with a couple of friends last night who they've got some concerns in regards to the vaccine that's coming out because they're not as up to date on the research as say me and a lot of others are. They're afraid of this vaccine causing damage and all of these sorts of different things because long-term effects, blah blah blah. It's difficult to try and assuage those fears when there's so much misinformation out there.
Yes.
Now,
Tell me about it.
Where those people are concerned, I've got all of the time and the patience in the world to try and assuage their fears so that they will go and get the jab.
If a person's willing to listen, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But if you get these other idiots that are holding onto it with a conspiratorial fucking religious fervor, you know, and they're the ones that are spreading all of this fucking bullshit misinformation. Like one of the guys last night was asking me, you know, like said to me, doesn't it completely rewrite your DNA? And it's like, it is impossible to fucking do that. You cannot rewrite DNA. It is impossible to do. Like,
not without radiation, and even then you're just destroying it, not rewriting it.
Exactly. Yeah. No. Yeah. Ionizing radiation like destroys DNA, and the body tries to keep up with cell division. With each division of cell is a higher chance of mutation. Chances of mutation may lead to a cancer that the immune system doesn't respond to, and bang, you get cancer. If you get exposed to enough radiation, especially over your whole body, it's happening way more frequently because of ionizing radiation, and it's going to happen. But
either way, it's not rewriting your DNA, it's just destroying it.
Exactly. But the idea that they can come in with a needle and go shunk and put this stuff into you, to be very clear to anybody that thinks that, if there was a drug that they could give a human being that could rewrite their DNA, it would be an incredibly long and extremely painful fucking death. It would kill you very, very painfully. It is impossible to do.
You know what else I heard? And it was a friend who he heard this from his daughter. I reckon she'd seen some piece of information. It took me about 5 seconds to find proof that it was wrong, because it was, you know, like the moment he said it, I'm just going, right, that's bullshit. Your daughter's full of shit. The vaccine contains stem cells from aborted fetuses. Heard that one?
No. Okay, to correct yourself, a lot of the original, and I don't know that it's all of the vaccines, but a lot of the original development of the vaccines does include stem cell lines from aborted fetuses.
It was developed.
And that was a long time ago, and they've been culturing them in labs ever since.
When you get the needle, you don't get. Well, I mean,
no, you don't get fetus stem cells.
You guys that you fucking know because you got brains, but like because he's a more conservative Christian friend of mine.
Yeah.
You know, and
Look,
this is why I end up having more in common with atheists than I do fellow believers, because there's a lot of fellow believers who are fucktards.
There are some real idiots out there, no two ways about it.
There are people who really
They're
don't
credulous.
understand. Yeah, there are people
They're
out there
very,
who
very
really don't
credulous.
understand. They do not understand what stem cell research actually means. Stem cell research isn't scientists going out to an abortion clinic and just taking their bin with them and going, "This'll do," and using those cells willy-nilly. The greatest majority of stem cells are being used through cultured stem cells from things like foreskins from babies, umbilical cords, umbilical blood, placental blood, and stuff like that.
People seem to think that the only place you'll find a stem cell is in an aborted fetus. It's uncanny how fucking ignorant people can be. And the thing that bothers me the most is the willful ignorance that they are unwilling to actually investigate objectively. And like I said, 5 seconds. 5 seconds. I picked up my keyboard. I went clickety click. Up came, just a page full of just results that just refuted the claim.
I look at it the same way that I look at these apparent medications that males can take that will somehow magically make their penis grow, or these other medications that women can take that will somehow
that would be
magically
a popular tablet for a lot of blokes that I know.
Oh yeah, it would be very much so.
It gets I get ads for it on Facebook, so I don't know.
Grow your penis bigger.
What I've been on
That's what porn's
Facebook
for, isn't it?
I'm getting dick pics on Facebook.
There is no.
I expect it on porn.
It is one of those things that, you cannot rewrite the cells in your body that are responsible for breast growth or penis growth or whatever to basically go into overdrive and create more. Some women say that their breasts get bigger when they're pregnant, and that's got nothing to do with the tissues growing further. It's got everything to do with swelling around the breasts for milk production and all of these sorts of different things. Sometimes after that is finished, the inflammation has caused fat deposits to stay, and therefore the breasts remain slightly bigger, but it is not this magical thing of, hey, my tits grew because I got pregnant. It's not. It just doesn't work that way.
Again, we're talking about genetics, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
And
100%.
Yeah, and people are going, "Oh, you just take this tablet and it'll change your genetics and give you a big dick gene instead of whatever average dick gene." Yeah.
The one I love is where it's a cream.
I'm going to leave you for a minute while I make this video. So, with my thing.
There's people.
Wait, no. See, I pushed the button and the microphone's still on, isn't it? Yeah,
it is.
Yep.
Now you're good. Yeah. No.
True, angry. Yeah.
And also, just to make it abundantly clear, which I'm sure that most people will agree with me on, as somebody who enjoys the occasional bit of pork sausage, it has got nothing to do with the size and a lot to do with how you use it.
Yep.
It's not the size of your boat, it's the motion of the ocean.
100%.
That's a very nice way of putting it. Very elegantly put. Very elegant.
It's not how deep you fish. It's not how deep you fish. It's how you wiggle your worm.
Angry's gonna watch this back and go, "What the hell are they going on about?"
No, he won't go. What the hell? He was like.
Angry, not even being a fan of the pork sausage on the rare occasion, would probably agree with us wholeheartedly. But we know that's just because he's got a tiny dick. So, and I am saying that while he's paying absolutely no fucking attention to it.
Is that why he does the angry thing?
Yeah. That's what made him so angry.
Let's all roast Angry. Well, he can't hear us.
He looked down and went, "Fuck, that's it. Now I'm angry. That's it."
We're very brave. We're roasting Angry while he can't defend himself.
Speaking of just staring down, though, I'll tell you a quick funny story. When I first got my VR kit, my HTC Vive, I was one of the original people to buy it. Yeah, you could tell when people were using my VR kit, you could tell when they were watching porn, because they'd be sitting there with the VR goggles on, and they'd be doing this for a little bit. You know, they got headphones on, so you can't hear anything. And they'd be doing this for a bit, and then all of a sudden they go, it was absolutely hilarious. Oh, goodness gracious. And a friend of ours by the name of Elizabeth, she was, watching one of these porn things, and I'm like, what was it like to be a dude for half an hour? And she went, how do you guys do it? No. But, yeah, no. To go back to the whole stem cell research thing, most stem cells that we still use are clones of embryonic stem cells that we got back in the early 70s. And it was only a handful of them that we got back in the early 70s. But most of the new stem cells that we get aren't from aborted fetuses. They're from placental blood, foreskins, umbilical blood, and umbilical cords. But to be clear,
basically stuff that was considered rubbish.
Yeah. And to be clear, we all now, like all of us still have stem cells in our body. But it's these younger ones from umbilical bloods and placental blood and stuff like that that don't have any genetic information in them. They're for all intents and purposes a blank slate. And using something like CRISPR or other genetic resequencing things that we've got, we can inject RNA information into those stem cells to get them to do various things. And there is a lot of things that they could treat / downright cure in regards to this, like brain damage, diabetes, spina bifida, cerebral palsy. These sorts of different things could be
muscle build up.
We still need to find a cure for being a Liberal voter, though. That's a pretty.
Oh, we need the same for Labor as well.
Adam, that's just completely demonstrably false. What we need.
It's weird. Our states are totally flipped.
No. What we need.
As much as I'm not an avid Labor fan, I'd take them over Libs any day.
Look, I need to say this.
You can have our Labor government. We'll have your Libs.
Every time that somebody starts talking shit about Labor governments, it's something that I need to
there you go.
kind of come in and just fucking say something on it. The Labor government, yes, it is not as left-leaning as it should be. It is slightly to the right of centre. You are 100% correct. They are liberal light, and I get that. But the idea that, number one, they're just as bad as Libs, completely demonstrably false. Second to that, if everybody, and I mean literally everybody, voted towards Labor or towards independents or further left-leaning parties like the Greens to get a majority Labor government in with Greens and independent fucking preferences, their policies and what they would do would be much further left-leaning than they already are. Because if they come out with further left-leaning things right now without that governmental support, they're just going to get fucking crucified in the media from everybody.
Absolutely true. This is absolutely true.
Never stand a fucking chance. So they've got to say that they're this way and that way and the other, that they're just slightly to the right of centre, in order to basically stop them from being completely fucking crucified at every turn.
Which brings to light the other disease we need to cure. The other disease we need to cure, and that is the existence of Rupert Murdoch.
A fucking minute
Yes.
that.
I think that's one everyone would agree about.
Yeah, no, we got to stop people from turning around and saying, "Oh, Labor's just as bad as Liberal," or all of the It is just not fucking true. It is really, really not true. And everybody that fucking says it is perpetuating a bullshit lie. Now, let's just have a look at the way that they exist right now. Okay, without taking into account any preferences or anything. Liberals wanted to privatize everything and increase the cost of fucking everything. Labor stood against that, which is a good thing.
Yes.
Liberals wanted to decrease the amount that people got on New Start and pensions. Labor wanted to increase it, which is a good thing. Liberals wanted to continue this bullshit work for the dole and fucking job network agency bullshit. Labor stood against that.
Yeah, well, those
Liberals
job network providers.
Yeah, Liberals.
Those job network
slashed.
providers donate money to the Liberal Party, so they get funded from the government, and then they donate back to the Liberal Party.
Yeah.
In my book, that's money laundering.
Like in political terms, it's not, but in moral terms, it is. More than that, Liberals slashed funding to Medicare and healthcare. Labor stood against that and actually tried to increase funding to those areas. Same thing with fucking public education. Same thing with public transport. Every time that somebody says, "Oh, Labor's just as bad as fucking Liberal," you're full of shit. It is demonstrably fucking wrong. Stop saying it. Fuck, sorry, that just really gets my fucking goat. It really, really does.
No, I agree 100% with you, Grasshopper.
I believe what you just said there was exactly how our Labor state government is. I don't know what's with them, but they seem like the Liberals down south. I don't know why they're so different to your Labor. It's weird.
Well, look, I don't live in Queensland. I'm not 100% sure, but on that same token, I don't believe that is necessarily true, Adam.
I don't agree with that either, and I live north of Brisbane.
Murdoch owns 100% of the media up in Queensland, was absolutely crucifying Plebiscite at every fucking turn that he had for the entire time that she was in, swore up and down black and blue that she was not going to win the last state election, which she not only won, but won by a fucking substantial majority. She must be doing something right, mate. And the evidence of her actions must speak way louder than the words that are printed from fucking Murdoch.
Really showed her best leadership during COVID.
I'm not saying that Plebiscite is without fault. I'm just saying that I don't think that she's nowhere near as bad as a lot of people like to make out that she is.
No.
Okay.
Yeah,
and Adam, to be clear, trust me, you were way better off with Plebiscite than you
doing
would
the paperwork. What? Nobody.
What?
Huh?
I didn't say anything.
Oh, I could have sworn someone said my name, like I'd done something wrong.
Nope. I never said a thing.
Bit paranoid there.
The tablets one need to ease back on these.
Bit paranoid there.
No. Shh. I don't know.
Yeah, no.
I never said a thing, Eddie.
It's just one of the things that, like, it truly, truly, truly drives me fucking nuts, because I think that's the problem that we've got right now, is that Murdoch understands that there is no way that he can sell Scummo as a half-decent leader, so they're trying to portray him as the daggy dad type of thing. And with that daggy dad on top of that, they're also getting everybody to fucking firmly believe that the other side is just as bad as the other side, and the daggy dad is kind of cool, so leave the daggy dad in fucking power. Like, no.
That's exactly what he's doing.
Fucking no. So many people like, oh, I don't really care about politics. It's like, well, you don't give a fuck about your future. You don't give a fuck about the future of your kids.
I don't care about politics. Oh, fuck it, I don't give a shit. What? So, when we elect a Hitler because you didn't care about the politics, and they start coming after your family, will you care then? I mean, I know that's an extreme example, but there's truth in it.
There was a guy that I grew up with in Macquarie Fields. I lost contact with him when I was about 22 years old. We reconnected when we were both about 33, 34 years old. And I went over there to visit him and catch up and all of that sort of stuff. Now, this guy is rightly on a disability support pension. He was born with fluid on the brain, and it's caused a lot of neurological issues for him, and he can't work. So he needs to be on the DSP, and that's fine. But he very clearly, very deliberately keeps on voting to the right in politics, and then complained very loudly when the whole pension shake-up from fucking Abbott came through. And then on top of that, he also got stung by the whole robo-debt fucking scandal as well. And he's there and he's complaining, going, oh, you know, this government's fucking me over this way, they're fucking me over that way. And it's like, dude, you voted for these fucking idiots. The left wanted to have that not happen. You voted them in. And he's like, yeah, but the left are just as bad as the right. It's like, you're a fucking idiot.
I remember writing to the federal representative, Mr. Luke Howarth, about the robo-debt thing. And he gave me this spin, all he did was chuck shit at ABC. I responded, Who the fuck mentioned ABC, cunt?
Yeah. Fucking hell. I love the whole idea that ABC is apparently the left-wing media organization.
Yeah, right.
When Abbott called that, does anybody remember Abbott calling the commission into ABC's reporting about it being apparently biased? Does anybody remember that?
Yeah, I do. I do remember that.
Does anybody remember why it went the fuck away?
Because there's nothing there.
The results came back in over 6,000 stories in print, TV, and the internet. They found that possibly 3 of them showed a clear leaning to the left. Everything else just reported the fucking facts, and people went, "Oh, the libs are fucked." It's like, yeah, when you look at the facts, yeah.
Reality is left-leaning.
People say, "Oh, these journalists are left-leaning." You know why journalists tend to look a little bit left-leaning? Because when you look at the facts make the right wing look really bad.
For good fucking reason. Yeah.
Yeah.
For good fucking reason.
When you look at the facts and you're observant, you can't help but start leaning a little more to the left. And, I've never understood the whole Christian thing with the right wing. The only thing I can think of for a biblical foundation is they take the God's right hand literally, which is absurd. It's preposterous.
It is something that has become very intertwined, especially in America. Like, if you're a Republican over there, you've got to be religious. Like, you cannot be not. And everybody over in America will tell you, unless you have a belief, no matter if you're Democrat or Republican, there's no way you're ever going to get power. If you're an outspoken atheist as a senator over there, you're never going to gain any form of real power at all. And Australia was kind of similar until we had fucking Gillard, who is a outspoken and firm atheist. When it came time for her to swear in, she didn't put her hand on the Bible. She was like, "There's no need for me to do that." And
because she didn't believe in hypocrisy. Yeah,
and we've got no law that states that we need to do it that way. But that was a big fucking.
I wouldn't swear on a Bible, and I wouldn't swear on a Bible, and I'm the church's sound guy. I wouldn't swear on a Bible because the Bible actually prohibits it.
Really?
It does.
Most likely.
Let your yes be yes and your no be no. You don't need to swear an oath. Should never, because your word shouldn't need to be sworn. You should stick to your word anyway.
Yeah. No, look, it used to be that you had to swear in the Bible that if you lied deliberately, that you would suffer God's wrath and or their wrath under God's judgment. So that's where that came from. It's an old school superstition that is no longer required. But there are a lot of people.
It's religiously wrong anyway. Like spiritually, it's wrong. As I mentioned.
So was hunting the witches, but it didn't stop it from happening.
Yeah, that's true. So true.
But yeah, no, it's one of those things we hold on to these old things. Like it was the biggest thing that they attacked Gillard about in the first place was the fact that she didn't swear on a Bible. And then after that, it was immediately about the fact that she lived with a guy that she was romantically involved with, but wasn't married and had no want to get married. All of these sorts of different things. It's
funny enough, biblically speaking, there is stuff in the Bible that says that's actually okay as well. Funny enough, a lot of people don't know this, but you take your partner into your home, and you're committed to that person. That is as good as marriage in the Bible. That's actually a marriage. The whole legalizing, the legalistic side of it, the signing documents and shit like that didn't happen in biblical times. People just got on with it.
Yeah,
they were. I mean, eventually, actually, that's probably not true. They probably did because divorce. You had to get what was called a get and all that sort of shit. But
we've got.
Anyway,
we've got King. God, I forget his name now. For the right of divorce, the guy that
Henry.
wanted sons. Yeah, King Henry. That's the one.
Henry VIII.
Always wanted sons. Yeah.
But the whole thing about divorce too. There's an entire discussion just on that, and why it's actually not such a mortal sin after all.
When before I was with my wife, I never really bought into the whole institution of marriage and all of that. If I never got married, I would have been fine.
I've never been married.
I knew that it was something that my wife wanted, and that's why I went down that. But on that same token, I also wanted it to be a personal thing for me, that if I said until death do us part, I actually fucking meant that. You know, and I don't, like, you hear about all of these Hollywood fucking marriages that last all of 4.5 hours type thing.
Yes.
I don't ever want to be a member of that. If Eleanor and I were to get divorced tomorrow, we've been together for a long time, that people would kind of go, okay, irreconcilable differences, everything's okay. But if you get married and you get divorced a month later, a lot of people are kind of like, so why did you get married in the first place? You know what I mean?
Yeah, well,
apparently things don't change, or people don't make mistakes, hey?
Yeah, no, people
we're just known for not making mistakes, aren't we?
Oh, I also wanted to say hi to Salumi and Jimmy Jam too. And yes, thank you for congratulating me on not dying, Salumi. I'm pretty proud of the fact.
Yeah, being not
yes,
dead
congratulations for not dying.
Okay,
Yes.
so now the question becomes, Angry, what did you make, and show us what you made.
So there's a thing going on with the YouTube cocktail makers, a little challenge they're calling Spice on the Rocks. You had to come up with a spicy cocktail. And a while ago, I made one of my Facebook friends, Raina. She said, make me a signature cocktail. And I was like, okay, what do you like? And she goes, I like spicy. What are the flavors? All orange, coconut. So I made it this thing that had vodka and this chili liqueur I have, which is seriously chili liqueur. Like half a shot is really noticeable. And Malibu and orange curacao and agave syrup, lime juice. And so I looked it up and I thought, oh, God, I used vodka. Vodka is a bullshit ingredient. Why did I use vodka? And because she's Mexican, like her family's Mexican. So I changed the vodka to a split of tequila and mezcal. But then as soon as I did that, I realized, oh, this is basically a slightly modified or a quite modified margarita. When it was vodka, it didn't look like a margarita, but as soon as I changed it to tequila, it's like a margarita is like tequila, orange liqueur, and lime juice and sugar syrup. And I have all that in here, plus a couple other things. And her name's Raina, and I called it a spicy Raina when I made it. And so now it kind of looks like a margarita. So the official name now is the Spicy Margarina. So
Cute.
It's spicy, but not too. That's what I said. Like this, half a shot's really noticeable. But if you have a really high chili tolerance, man, put a whole shot or 2 shots. Go crazy. Because this is literally distilled chilies, I think. And Reyes brings the clean and crisp flavor of poblano chilies from the field to the bottle. On the nose, fire-roasted green poblanos, charred tropical fruit and smoke. In the mouth, notes of golden roast pineapple, touched of savory acidity, and the bright taste of green chilies, finishing with a rich texture and piquant heat. It's like eating, like when it's not too hot in the mouth, but it goes down and going, oh no, I can feel that all the way down my throat. That is actual chili that's going. Like if I wanted to kill Aidsy, I'd slip this into his drink, basically. And
to be clear, poblanos in and of themselves aren't really all that spicy if you use them in cooking by themselves. But if you use them in mixture with, say, a bird's eye chili or something along those lines, it really amps up the fucking spice. But if you, like, I use poblano chilies in my burrito mix. And that's where I get all my spiciness from, as opposed to chili powder. You get dried poblano chilies, you dice them up nice and fine, take all of the seeds out, and it gives a very slight, spicy, smoky, lovely flavor. But it's not, oh my God, my mouth is burning. It just gives you a bit of a tingle. But if you rehydrate them, use all of the seeds, and cross them with even the mildest of fucking chilies, all of a sudden, the spice level just explodes. I don't know what the fuck it is. So something tells me that in the fermentation process, they're most likely going to be like, my throat's on fire a little bit right now.
Well, these folk sun dry the poblano, and they say they're called ancho chilies when they're sun dried, and that may well concentrate the heat in them as well. So I don't know. But it's definitely got a chili bite in there. Charles loves Scotch bonnet chilies.
Bugger that. Oh, bugger that. I am a complete wuss when it comes to spicy food. I am a complete fucking wuss. I like a little bit to enhance flavors and to give a little bit of a tingle on the tongue type of thing. That's great, but there are people out there that I know that like love things like vindaloos and shit like that, and I'm like, hell no. Not even gonna try it. Like I dipped my finger in a friend of mine's beef fucking vindaloo once and just dipped my finger in the sauce and had a taste, and I'm like, never again. Never again. Like, it would be tasty.
I did that trick with the
like,
bird's
oh
eye
my
chili
god,
and decided that was too much.
Yeah.
yeah,
Ooh.
no, what's up?
So I
Andrew?
just noticed Charles is Caribbean, so that's why he likes the really hot ones. Oh God, Stella's harvested her first Carolina Reaper, along with a buttload of canes. So, God, Stella's getting hardcore there. God damn.
Yeah.
Oh, so I just saw, and also on the divorce question, Kirsten wanted to move in with husband before marriage, and mother tried to guilt her with Christian guilt. She got to say, at least I'm no one's third wife, because she married a double divorcee. It's like, ooh, ouch. Ouch.
Touche.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Lumi's hoping for a date this weekend. Nice.
So
Nice.
I just got a bit of a dream job that I got to tell you about, Angry.
Yeah.
Had a client come over and drop off 4 PCs. And their entire complaint is that these 4 PCs are used for nothing but for when he and his family are away at a little holiday house that they've got, to sit there and play certain games together over the LAN. They don't use the internet with them or anything like that. And one of the games that they really wanted to play was Call of Duty World at War Zombies. And every time that they tried to get it working, the game kept on erroring out on them. So he's dropped it off to me to get it working. Now I've got it working between 2 PCs, but now I need to error test it. I am getting paid to sit there with a bunch of my mates tomorrow night to sit around and just play a few rounds of Call of Duty World at War Zombies.
Nice.
I'm totally good with getting paid for this. I am totally good with getting paid for this.
Nice. Paid for something you do for free.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Nice.
You know, I've been running my own business now for almost 10 years, and this is the first time that I've got a job like that. And I'm like, I'm good. If I get more jobs like this, I'd be really, really happy.
just game testing. Nice.
Yeah. No, that'd be fun. Anyways, I have run out of my iced tea, which is unacceptable. So I will be right back.
Okay.
So so we've got to do the thumbs up and good wishes for Salumi getting a date on Sunday. You know,
absolutely.
Correct. Oh.
May it go smoothly, and may it just generally be awesome.
Yeah. Just looking at Stella's other gardening adventures. Got the chili plant for $3 for shits and giggles. But your Jack Russell eats tomatoes off the bush before you can get any. I did not know that was. I didn't know that was the thing Jack Russells did, eat tomatoes off the line.
Yes, so may it actually happen.
Never heard of that.
I just noticed Sapa asking the background flag, which I have changed. I'll see if I can make it show up properly. No, that's not making it sharp. It is a redesigned Aboriginal flag. I think Briggs, the rapper, did it. That's who I got it from. And from how he posted it, it was, let me see. I know what I need to do to show it to you a bit better. Work out how to share the screen. And the reason Briggs did this one is because there's kind of dodginess around the what's regarded as the traditional Aboriginal flag with someone claiming copyright on it. And it can be a bit dodgy. So he's redesigned it to have the spears instead of the sword. So,
random.
I gotta say, I like that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Shaylee is here to show you her sword. Oh, look! Fox
Oh,
is
it's
showing
sword time.
too.
Oh, wow.
It's sword time. Oh.
Sword time. I don't think I have swords here. I have a few toy guns, but no swords.
Shaylee's getting into that Victorian look.
I had a couple in my youth.
Oh, swords.
Yeah, I had one I quite liked that was like a scimitar type thing that really reminded me of like an orc scimitar from the Lord of the Rings. So I had that for quite a while. And what I liked, it got a bit rusty, but that just made it look better, in my opinion. Made it look more like an orc sword with the stains on it. Look at being well used. Oh, Stella's saying a Jack Russell is a garbage guts. Stolen cucumbers, carrots, tomatoes, and leaves on corn. Wow.
Nuzzling.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Jimmy Jam's got experience with Jack Russell's being a walking bin. Okay. See, I did not know that about Jack Russell's. I've learned something. So, geez, I hope this bloody spicy drink doesn't give me too many misadventures downstairs, but
that could be awkward.
Something could be a bit raw down there. So,
be like the last conversation I had with Daisy. You'd be sitting there going, "Oh shit, I'll be back."
I think it's time for me to make a whiskey. I'll be back in a minute.
Yep, that sounds fair.
Yep.
But yes, I've had no activity since this morning in that department. So who knows? Who knows what the future is going to bring me?
I can't be the only person who finds it kind of weird when you've had whether it's medication induced or just a general run-in with the bowl.
Yeah.
But after for the next day or two, you're very, very nervous about flatulence.
Oh yeah.
It sort of how many? I've had a few run-ins with run-ins.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
The number of times I've run off to the toilet just to basically drop a fart and go, well, that was a waste of time then. And of course, if you've got anyone in the house, it's it's kind of embarrassing because farts echo so much in the toilet bowl too.
One thing about farts, when you wear masks, you can smell them. People on the ferry. Oh my lord.
Oh no. But they think they'd get away with it, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
But not so much.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God, that was reminding me of something. Oh, so a bizarre, like Tumblr post I saw once. Someone had like a deaf friend at school and they're saying something about farts. And then one of them, they're talking about the smells. One of them talked about the different noises they made, and the deaf kid's like signing desperately. The fuck? Are you saying farts make noises? And they're saying, yeah. He goes, oh my God, I just let them rip all the time because I think I'll never know who let it go. I didn't know I was making a noise every time I did it.
Oh, that reminds me of an old joke. It's kind of corny, but so bear with me here. But the woman goes to the doctor and she says, doctor, I have a case of flatulence. They seem to be fairly quiet, mostly inaudible and odorless. But there's a lot of, wondering if I should be concerned. The doctor says, okay, no problem, pulls out his notepad, writes out a prescription, hands it to her. She goes, oh, good. Is that going to help reduce the flatulence? He said, no. This script here is a decongestant to unblock your nose, and this one's a referral to the hearing clinic.
Oh no! Inside Out. See, there was a chance I was going to be dead. That's why I'm celebrating that I'm not dead. Oh, okay, Salumi. Until you have period shits, nothing of that panic. I agree. There are certain things.
I will take your word on that one.
That people who don't go through that will never understand.
I've got a mate who has a very uncanny experience as a man with lady problems because he used to present as a female.
Oh, yeah. That's
has had 3 children. Who still call him mum.
Okay.
Which is funny in public places if people don't know, because he, for want of a better expression, passes quite well. You know, doesn't look obviously effeminate or anything.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well,
so it does throw people a bit.
It does. I still think, God, one of the most amazing love stories I heard, and I thought who the unsung hero was. It was on like Australian Story on the ABC as a lesbian couple, and one half of the couple comes to realize that he's trans, and so begins transition, and then they decided they wanted to have a baby, but the female partner, who, to her credit, stuck with her trans male partner because a lot of lesbians would have a problem with it. And the female partner turned out to be infertile, but the trans man was not fertile, and so he got impregnated and he carried their child. And the thing was very much focusing on the trans guy carrying the baby. And I kept thinking, hey, the unsung fucking hero here is the other half of the equation who was fully accepting of their partner. You know, they started the relationship, goes, I'm starting a relationship with a woman. And then it's like, you're actually in a relationship with a trans man. And she stuck by him. And I was thinking, like, a bit more focus on her. She's actually taken a really big step there.
There's actually, when people transition, the relationships are often impacted quite heavily. It's very, very common for people to lose contact with lose relationships outright with bloodline relatives.
Absolutely, yes.
Less common, but it still happens a lot.
Oh, happens a lot.
Yeah, I remember saying this to the support group one morning. I put myself in a situation where I quite vividly imagined transitioning, which is a pretty unlikely story for me, but there you go. And just started really in-depth thinking about all the things that would have to happen, and trying to find acceptance, having to face people that have known me, some people who might struggle with it, and the more about it that I thought, the more traumatizing just the very idea became. And it gave me a considerable appreciation for how bad it must be for somebody who has to, one, go through life, sometimes misgendering themselves for quite a long time before they finally accept their true identity, being misgendered by everyone else before constantly, even after transition, and actually going through the transition. I mean, the amount of stress that's involved in that is off the fucking scale.
I think it's one of those things, like a couple of people that I know that are transitioning, like, apart from the body dysmorphia that they had to suffer through for God knows how long, when they began their actual transition, and they come over to a friend's place, finally dressing and presenting how they feel, and who they feel their true person to be, having people basically go, oh, what the hell, and then you kind of get into this whole discussion of passing, which I had a discussion with Abigail about that, actually.
It's not a good term for it, really. Passing.
No, it's not.
I've heard transgender people use it. It's a term I'm a little bit iffy, but I always say, for the want of a more appropriate one that doesn't come to mind.
Yeah.
But passing implies that the person's not genuinely the identity that they're presenting, which is incorrect to say.
No, well, passing is that, a random stranger looks at them on the street and can't tell that they're trans, that they just accept them for the gender that they present. And the thing is, nobody, like, in my personal view, and I'm sure that you guys would agree with me on this one, they don't need to fucking pass, because at the end of the day, it's none of your fucking business at all. If that person was assigned male at birth, feels that they have been misgendered, feels that they are indeed a woman trapped in a man's body, or however it is that you want to put it, and they start presenting as female, change your pronouns and change the fucking name if they so choose. That's
I think
it.
Sir Lemmy down in the comments has said it very, very well, actually, that trans people do not owe us fitting into the binary. I think that pretty well sums it up.
And yes, the whole thing of passing is heteronormative bullshit, as Salome puts it. But and there's also there's a privilege thing. But again, the hysteria around trans and non-binary and gender fluid people fucks over cis people as well. Like, effeminate men get shit, butch women get shit, and it's like, and I mean, like, cis men who maybe present a bit femme, and cis women who present butch get all sorts of shit, and just because it highlights how dumb the whole thing is, basically.
It is. And it's a problem that we created in the first place. People go, oh, well, it's always been men and women, and it's always been this, and it's been that. Okay, point number one. Just because something has, in inverted commas, always been, is not an excuse to refuse to change it. We always had slavery. We always treated women like cattle.
As possessions.
That's not okay. Secondly, we didn't always have it. We invented it.
Yes.
We decided to start labeling people with these things and splitting ourselves into these little groups. And all of a sudden we found out that there's a whole lot fucking more to it than what we initially realized. And now our little system that we created doesn't fucking fit the reality. Oh, maybe it's time we change our fucking system.
One of the things that I had a lot of fun debunking was a guy that tried to say that, back in the tribal days and all of this sort of stuff, men didn't have to chase women. Men were basically just handed a woman, and nobody was ever trans or effeminate or anything like that. Men were men and women were women, and that was it. And I turned around to him and said, there is tribal cultures that exist right now. In Africa especially, but in other countries as well, where the men dress up in feathers and makeup and all sorts of different adornments to try and attract a female mate. They go out to get into these massive festivals and dance and all of this sort of stuff, and it is up to the woman to say yes or no. And if she says no, then he's just got to accept it and move on and try and find another girl who won't say no. These societies seem to have very little instances of sexual assault and rape because it's the guys chasing the women and not the other fucking way around. Maybe we could take a fucking page out of their book. What do you think? Because these tribal guys, they need to go out and hunt and fucking carve and cook and all of these sorts of different things. They're a man's man by your fucking definition of the word. You tell me. If you're going to go up to one of them and go, oh, you're dressing up like a girl, oh, you fucking skirt. See how long that's going to fucking last. They'll put a spear through your face and then laugh at you.
For those people that you're talking about, the people who saying, they didn't have to go chasing and earn, are they basically implying that there's something wrong with earning a woman's respect?
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
It's a rhetorical question. We all know the answer.
Yeah. But also,
it's implying that there's something wrong with earning anyone's respect, and that a woman is as much of an equal as any man. And anywhere on that.
Sorry, I know that you want to say something there, Angry, but just very quickly, I just need to interject this right quick. So many people still ask, what did I do to score? Like, I'm boxing above my weight where my wife is concerned, and fuck all those arguments. But a lot of people ask me, like, what did I do in order to score such a hot woman? And it comes down to basically because I respected her as an autonomous fucking human being. I never, ever treated her as anything but an autonomous human being. So how did I score a woman? By basically not being a cunt. That was the bare minimum that I needed to fucking do. So... no, stop it with this shit that you need to...
Pretty straightforward, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it really fucking is. It drives me nuts. Sorry.
If the person...
I was just going to say that thing about older cultures not having a gender binary, being limited to a gender binary is simply not true. All around the world, there are older cultures that recognize existence beyond the binary, whether it's Africa. India has an incredibly long history of recognizing trans people. In the Americas, various nations, one of the terms translated is a person of many spirits, in as much as that person isn't a straight down the line male or female. There's more than one spirit inside them. They're outside of that binary. And so on top of that attitude being stupid, like, oh, it always used to be like that. Well, things fucking change. But also, it didn't always used to be like that. All the rights you have from ancient Greece, ancient Rome, Egypt, all these places, there was recognition of existence beyond any arbitrary binary going back millennia.
Either way, the argument of it always used to be this or used to be that is just a shit argument. It's piss weak.
It is. It's a shit argument.
It's actually wrong anyway. Like nice earlier, that there wasn't always this binary thing, and not all cultures have adopted that. But to add on to that as well, let's just say for a moment that they're right, that every single ancient civilization and every single civilization right now only accepts the binary. It doesn't mean that they're fucking right.
Yeah,
exactly.
Even if we did accept it before and don't anymore, and we need to take a page from that book, sure. But even if that was never the case, it still doesn't make it right.
I'm going to have to go. I've got a terrible back pain. So.
Okay.
Hi guys.
Thanks for joining us.
I'll see you tomorrow night.
See ya.
I hope that you feel better soon, Nettie.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely makes the valid point. The bar for men is so low. I used to do the dating videos.
Pretty true.
Yeah, used to do the dating videos with Mistress M, and we talk about how to do internet dating. And because I did internet dating, that's where I met Mrs. Angrias, where I met many people I went out with through internet dating. And without a word of a lie, how to get ahead of 90% of your competition if you're a guy with online dating is don't be a dickhead. You don't have to do anything actively positive. Just don't be an absolute piece of shit, and you are ahead of 90% of your competition. It's absolutely mind-blowing.
Yeah, don't send an unsolicited dick pic. Don't immediately steer the conversation to, do you want a good hard dicking from me, or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Don't be a Tinder douchebag, basically.
And
all of a sudden you're going to have women who are like, the idea that they're going to pay attention to you and that will become romantic is, of course, not fucking true. But the more that you have women who are paying attention to you as a person whom they want to become friends with, then maybe from that a relationship may come about.
There's a whole point there.
But on that same token as well, if they don't, if you are attracted to them, but they don't share that attraction, don't do the "but I'm a nice guy" thing.
Yeah, just leave it. Yeah.
What's wrong with respecting a person's decision now? If they say, "I don't feel that way," I've actually had unwanted advances from men and women actually, but I didn't like it.
Yeah.
You'd think it would be a compliment to a guy to have two grown women actually arguing over who is spending their afternoon with you. I just said, if you're going to keep carrying on like that, I'm going home. But what?
I just want to say a quick hello
to impress women.
Yeah, quick hello to Zeppelin Imagineer, and I want to answer a couple questions. First, Jimmy Jam, Mr. Sam's good. She's in Adelaide and has been doing doctorate and getting married and being a stepmom. We keep talking about maybe doing videos again sometime, but never getting around to it. But that's that.
I miss Mistress Sam. She was awesome.
She is awesome. And I noticed
presenting, very, very insightful.
Oh,
and she actually did her degree in psych, and so is like a practicing psychologist now. I know Charles throwing in, need to teach this to gay men as well. Sick of guys opening and in with a dick or a hole pick. It's just like, yep.
Charles, you need to remember the issue here is not whether they're gay or straight. The issue is predominantly cis men in society that they're allowed to do this behavior. And, you know, that is the thing of they have been taught that it's acceptable until they actually have the capacity to realize that if you continue down that path, you're just not going to get any luck.
It seems to be particularly prominent with internet users.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean,
here's a good way to conduct yourself on the internet. Would you behave like that in person? With some of the person maybe hitting you, calling security to throw you out of a venue, or having the police come to you, would you behave the way a particular way in person? If not, don't do it online.
Yeah. Grasshopper's story about the guy whipping it out on the train. Some people do it in real life.
They usually there's usually repercussions for that too.
I honestly believe that unsolicited dick pics, I think that it's a mental thing. A lot of guys out there, they want validation on their penis. It's either too small or it's not big enough or it's ugly or something like that. What they're looking for is for somebody to turn around and go, no, it's fine. It's perfectly fine. I honestly believe that's what they're actually after.
Yeah. Porn's very unreal.
I reckon you're on the money there.
What bodies are supposed to look like. I know that there was, I believe it was BBC did a series about showing what actual labias and penises look like. Because they don't look like they do in porn. Yes, a very small percentage do, but most don't. And
there was an artist who made the Great Wall of Vagina,
where they could actually go, oh my God, I can accept myself now because all throughout being a young adult, I've been told that I have to look and be a certain way. And you're like, maybe we should stop shoving this idea down people's throats.
Yeah, I agree.
In terms of dicks, you mean? Just don't randomly shove them.
Well, just body parts in general, I think.
As I was saying it, and then I was like, well, it's too late now.
As a man who enjoys the odd bit of pork sausage every now and again, I say this clearly and easily. There is no such thing as an attractive dick. Okay? At no point does a gay man or a straight woman look at a penis and go, that looks really lovely. I
actually don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I've known a lot of women and a lot of gay men. I've known a lot of women and a lot of gay men who find, in the right circumstances, the right dick very aesthetically pleasing.
That's the point that I was going to make. It's always dependent on the circumstance. It's not the unsolicited dick pic that they're going, oh, that's really attractive. No. It's okay. This certain situation is existing where this may become a possibility to turn into a romantic interlude. I see the person naked. I see a hard penis, and I know that that's about me. That's really attractive because it makes me feel validated. It's got this entire loophole going on.
It's got much more to it than just here's a penis.
That's it. But unless you're like a young teenage boy, just the sheer picture of a penis being flaccid on the screen generally isn't something you go, oh, it's just not a thing, really.
I did see a very funny Twitter thread once. A woman posted because she was sick of it, and she's going, "These are the different types of dick pics we get, and stop it." And she's just posing with like a cucumber, and it was all the different angles, and they just all looked horrifically familiar. And also the facial expression she did in them as well was as all the different angles and the whatnot. And she's going like, "No, just don't."
It was so on point too.
So try having a bi-gender name like Shannon.
Yes.
And have a Facebook picture that is a picture of you and your wife, and everybody assuming that your wife is actually Shannon and not actually. And
I've got the same thing. People assume that my wife is me.
Yeah. And I've received a few unsolicited dick pics from people thinking that I was my wife. And I'm just like, if this is even a vague fucking taste of what some women have got to put up with, that is beyond frightening.
The anxiety when you have a dating app notification saying that someone has sent you a picture because you're like, do I want to open this?
Schrodinger's picture, as a friend of mine refers to it, it's Schrodinger's picture. Hey, Charlie.
Charlie,
how you doing?
you got the link to work.
Okay.
Good to see you.
Thank you. I didn't think I was invited to this kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I don't. Technically, I don't know why you had a problem, but it's worked, so that's good to see.
What does your shirt say there, Charlie? It's okay.
It's okay. I'm on 500 milligrams of fuckatol.
I like that. That's good. That's good.
That is awesome. Love that.
Thank you.
Nice.
So whereabouts do you hail from, Charlie?
I'm in one of the suburbs around Toronto. Born in Canada, but Caribbean heritage, and spend a lot of time back home.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay.
Cool.
Not so much lately, though.
No, I kind of regret not hopping on a plane and going to my auntie's beach house in Tobago.
About a year ago. About a year ago would have been good timing.
Pretty much, yeah. I was like, at the airport, should I leave or should I stay? And I chose first world healthcare versus beach house.
Yeah.
Well, now that we've got a US on here, I need to ask, how do you feel about this whole Capitol Hill storming thing, Charlie? Tell us what you feel.
It legitimately sent me into a panic attack, and I'm not American. I'm Canadian. I am in Toronto.
Yeah.
But you're close enough to
You're closer than us, so
true. It's fucked. It's a whole clusterfuck of America not admitting that white terrorists exist. It's America not admitting that they have a serious problem with white terrorism, and that they might need to do something about the availability of weapons. Like, there's a tier of whole problems, and a friend of mine actually works in security in cybersecurity here in Canada. And basically dropped the lowdown on what Canadian white supremacists are doing, because Canada is just America light. No matter what anyone tells you, we're just America with healthcare and weed. We are no better than America.
You're American light, but with socialized healthcare. That's the difference.
And it's like got that Australian sense of humor. So it's that colonizer sense of humor with America and a level of actual social awareness, but not deep enough to get rid of the white supremacy and the fact that they still attack their own Indigenous people.
Oh, God. The way we treat our Indigenous people is fucking disgusting.
Yeah.
We need to fix it.
Yeah.
I can't even. I've rage blacked out his own name. The guy who's currently acting PM.
Michael.
Motion that that all lives matter. I would like someone to make a motion at his head with a hard object, please.
Yeah.
The acting PM where?
In Australia, our acting Prime Minister is the leader of the incredibly conservative minor Conservative Party, and he's racist, he's homophobic, and he's thick as shit.
Peachy.
And a fucking misogynist as well. So his name is actually Scott Morrison, but Australia has...
okay.
Yeah.
No, Michael McCormack is the acting prime. Scummo's on holidays again.
Yeah, that's right.
Michael McCormack.
Sorry. Holidays when the country's still in crisis.
Oh, also, I
was holiday during a pandemic.
Yeah. Man, you remember how bad the bushfires were in Australia last year, Charlie?
2/3 of his family was on fire.
He went on holidays.
Yeah, he fucked off to Hawaii with his family when 2/3 of the country was on fire. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
What a piece of shit. No wonder he's sick. Wow. Oh my God.
I have scraped better, more human specimens of humanity. I've scraped better specimens of humanity off the bottom of my shoe in a dog walking park.
Absolutely. So, but also, Charlie, I wanted Kirsten's question. Are you a night owl or an early riser? Because it must be a weird hour for you.
It is 6 a.m. here, and I'm actually staying awake. It's been a fucked day for me in terms of news. So I'm just trying to reset my sleep schedule right now. So I figured I'd stay up and watch one of my favorite YouTubers.
Cool.
Okay, awesome. Yeah,
nice.
No, it's the doing the whole staying awake thing to reset the body clock. I have to do that every now and again for my work schedule. I fucking dread those days. I absolutely dread those days. They're the worst.
Yeah, but I've got apple juice, tequila, and Monster to keep me awake.
What more could you ask for?
Oh, goodness gracious. So tequila and Monster, I could just imagine maybe the end of the day just having, there was a comedian that turned around and said, I will never drink Red Bull and vodka. I never want a drink that will lower my inhibitions and give me the energy to try it.
Yeah.
It sounds very similar
Part of
to
why
that.
I can't drink energy drinks after being a dickhead teenager was I drank far too many Jaeger bombs and Skittle bombs and ruined them for myself. I can't do energy drinks now.
Yeah,
the legend behind the espresso martini. The legend behind the espresso martini is in a London bus. Sometimes reputed to be the model Kate Moss in early hours, stumbling into a bar, suffering from a hangover and having work to do, just saying to the barman, I need something that's going to wake me up and fuck me up. And he's going, all right. And he just goes, espresso, vodka, shake. Try that.
Sounds like something Kate Moss would get behind.
Yeah.
So my partner's husband has a fascination with good coffee, and he recently decided I'm going to get some very expensive coffee, and then he made it into double espresso shots, which he then kind of creamed into an ice cream.
Oh, yes,
and then fed to us without telling us what it was.
God damn! God
Oh
damn!
my God. I can just imagine that. Oh my God, ice cream. Oh my God, now I want to run a marathon. Why? Like,
we described it as anxiety through time.
Yeah,
anxiety.
I've had to cut down my coffee consumption, especially last year with my anxiety. It was not a good
coffee
time.
and anxiety don't get along.
Yeah.
No,
I understand that entirely.
But I'm
When
also
I
a non-binary pansexual. I need my iced coffee.
What? Okay, hold on. Siri or Seer. Seer. So, if you live in a part of Australia that actually gets like cold, are you still a nice coffee drinker in the winter?
Oh yes, and I also drink frozen Cokes in the winter. Because
oh my God, what is it with every
as a small child in the developmental stages between 3 and 5, I lived in Queensland where it's never fucking cold, and somehow my brain decided that no matter where I live, it's Queensland for food, so I can do whatever the fuck. I still walk around barefoot in.
Oh no!
Yeah.
So,
Charlie,
one of my best friends is. Oh, you're saying?
Sorry, Charlie. To be clear, in Australia, to get like legitimately cold, as you would experience cold, like in terms of being cold enough for the fucking snow and all of that, you need to live in the mountains, like in the middle of fucking nowhere. So it's
Tasmania.
And even then, the coldest points in Australia do not match the -20, -30s that parts of Canada and America exist.
Okay.
Yes, you don't get that
So,
kind of brutal
a few
cold.
years ago, we had a bad cold snap in the winter. Like, it was like -30. And me and one of my closest friends, he's Filipino, I'm Trinidadian. We're in the middle of downtown Toronto in the wind. It's -30, and we've still got our iced coffees going. Why? Because we are gays on the go. We do not have time for your bullshit.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
I'm all about that.
Oh my God.
That's all right. Here in Queensland, when it gets cold, we still wear shorts.
Yeah.
Yep. It is true.
Not really cold.
I remember being over in England, like very, very. I was only there for like 4 days during a layover, and it was their summer, and I'm walking around in short sleeve shirt and long pants and all of that sort of stuff, and I'm perfectly fine because it was like a spring day. It had hit about 30 odd degrees, but like theirs isn't a humid heat the way that Sydney's is. Or the way that Melbourne's is. It's the moment that you're in shade in the UK, it's actually very tolerable. So I'm perfectly fine. And these people are looking at me like as if I've got 6 heads growing out my shoulders. Because I'm in jeans and just going, this is great. And I'm like, you haven't experienced, okay, so to be clear, a Sydney summer or even a Northern Territory summer has got fucking nothing on a Miami summer. Okay, it doesn't. The closest that you can get would be like Cairns or Townsville in summer.
Lived in Townsville.
Tropical, yeah.
Like
Townsville.
Oh,
it's so gross.
Awful, isn't it?
It is.
It's still humid in winter in Townsville. Same as
that
Cairns.
is one of my very vivid memories about Townsville as a kid. Is just how gross the weather was. That's a fucking war.
My wife and I needed to go to Cairns a few years ago for a wedding, and it was in June, so as cold as Cairns gets basically. And my wife and I were like, you know what, this is a lovely night to go for a quick dip in the pool. And the people that own the hotel were looking at my wife and I like,
you're crazy.
I've done that to Americans before. to Canada's winters. Eventually, because I used to just fuck off every winter to Trinidad. Like, nope, going to Trinidad. It's winter, it's -5, I'm going to Trinidad. Bye!
I love that.
I have dual citizenship.
The worst thing about Queensland, our water parks do not shut during winter, and everyone still goes to the water parks in winter.
Yeah.
It was dead of winter.
It doesn't get colder there.
It's not really winter. It's just the not wet time. Your winter is the dry part of the year. It's fucking weird.
There are times
I used to swim in South Bank in the middle of winter when I used to live in the city.
There are times that I wish that I had the mutant power of storm, for no other reason than just in winter, just to give Queenslanders like a week of a proper cold winter. Just a week of a proper cold winter, and just to see what happens.
I've got a question for Kirsten in the comments. She said that she's having to figure out her wardrobe because the Melbourne uniform doesn't work in Sydney. And is it to do with the climate, or is it just because it's Sydney? And
is it the colour?
It would have to be the climate, because the summers in Melbourne are pretty fucking warm, without a shadow of a doubt. But when I was down in Melbourne for their summer, it didn't feel as humid as a Sydney summer does.
It normally was quite dry, even compared to Adelaide, because Adelaide gets humid sometimes. I don't know why. Why do we? I
really didn't experience summer in Melbourne last year because of the smog and that from the fires.
It was not
just
good.
Played around with every bit of weather.
Yeah, and then this year, I don't know how much Melbourne's felt it, but I know Adelaide's been quite a lot colder than normal. Even though we've had the hottest days on record, because we're in that low, we're just having rain. Like today, it rained for like half an hour, and we're just like, okay, it's still 29. What?
Yeah.
I hate the hot days where it rains for like 20 minutes, because all that does is just increase
the humidity.
The humidity afterwards,
At least if it was only 29, it wasn't too bad. If it had been like on Sunday when it was 38, know.
The one that I will never forget was the New Year's Day, quite a few years ago now. But the 1st of January, there were like several people who died at Bondi Beach from heat stroke. It was a stupid hot day on the 1st of January.
Yeah,
I'd gone to a New Year's party, and I'd gotten home at about like 4:30 in the morning type thing, and just gone to bed. And the house that I was in at the time did not have air conditioning, to be clear. So I had the fan going in the bedroom. And my then fiance, now wife, she woke me up at about 6 o'clock, worried about the amount of sweat that was on the bed, of me being severely dehydrated. She woke me up with a gigantic glass of Staminade and was like, for the sake of love, drink this, and just, So I get up, I drink the Staminade, and I go outside, and it is stupid hot. Like, it is 38, 39 degrees. Sorry, no, let me rephrase that. Sorry. It was like literally 45 to 47 degrees. It was stupid fucking hot.
Yeah.
And just out the back. And then all of a sudden, a storm rolled through.
Yeah.
It was an amazingly powerful storm as well. But in the space of 10 minutes, the temperature went from 47, 48 degrees down to 32. And I tell you, at 32 degrees after experiencing that, you're like, this is lovely. This is great. You
Yeah.
know,
This is luxury.
every
I'll
other
tell
day
you.
it's 32 degrees and you're like, fuck everything. But on
Yeah.
this particular day, it's like, I'll take this any fucking day.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to bed. I stayed on just long enough to find out what Kirsten's Melbourne uniform problem was, as she used to wear black jeans every day, and it's too hot in Sydney.
Good night.
All right.
So
good.
Not angry.
Okay.
I'm going to bed. Charlie, if you're unfamiliar with the concept of after party, if you're wanting people to stay awake, anyone who feels like who's in the stream can keep chatting, and it won't be going out to YouTube.
Oh, cool.
It's what we colloquially call the after party. But I am actually going to bed, so bye-bye, everyone.
Good night, Angry, and good night to everyone.
You're not angry?